I think in ways I have always viewed my depression as like it's like a period, a phase. It's a pit that you climb out of. It's this abyss. It's like this cloud, this shadow that hovers over your being. And part of me has been starting to wonder if maybe this won't go away. Maybe it won't be like how it was when I was younger. Because when I was younger, I suffered with severe depression and suicidal tendencies. When I started kind of reaching like 16, 17, 18ish is when I started getting a lot better. I wasn't super depressed. But I always viewed as that time when I was super depressed as like this period in of itself. And starting last year in 2022 in spring, I went back to that place again. And I felt so much fear and shame for falling into that place, that pit again. Like how could I fall so low? I've been doing so well. It's like everything that I learned about myself, my life, how I got out of there is just all gone. It's like I learned nothing. I'm the same exact person that I was all those years ago. And what if this is just what I am? What if I am just running away from reality? That this is what I am and this is what I'm always going to be. And even in my hopes and my attempts of being better, this is just what I am. In spite of all this, in spite of saying all of these things, like I know I am a different person. Like I am so much better mentally, even despite saying all these things. Like especially compared to a year ago. Like a year ago, I feel so much pain for that person that I was. Like she was so lost in herself and in life and in everything. And I still suffer and struggle with depression. Yet now it's like this tug of war between feeling like I'm capable, I'm growing and evolving, I am in control of my life. I have the ability to make my way in life. I can be more than what has happened to me. I can choose to become who I wish to become. And there's also moments that happen very quickly, one after the other, where it just all crashes down. It all just crashes down, and I feel like I'm in denial of reality. This is just what we are, and we're running away from that. I'm not good enough. I'm never going to be good enough. I'm just running away from that place. And how could I even hope or dream or even think of getting better, of being more than what I am? My mental health has been extremely tumultuous since spring of 2022. I have only in the past few months has my mental health starting to improve, and I am so very thankful for that. Even though I still struggle with it, it isn't as all encompassing as it was before. Sometimes it is, but it was like I feel like 7, 8 months of just lose I just lost myself completely. And it's just this numbness, this grief, this pain, this loss within myself and what I am. And you just feel like you're just roaming this earth with no reason. Like, what am I even doing here? Just like you're just walking in this aimless desert. And so if there's one thing I'm thankful for this year, because this year has been extremely hard, life goes on, is that I I'm finally learning to be gentle with myself, to understand myself in spite of all these feelings, in spite of all my thoughts. For the first time in my life, I have been trying to walk with myself as a friend and not as an enemy. Though again, even as I say that, like there's days where I'm kind to myself and there's days where I'm back to square one. It's funny honestly when I think about it because it is improvement because it is improvement. It is improvement than how I was a couple months ago, and I am thankful for that. Yet it is frustrating too. It is frustrating at times a lot and debilitating to one day be thinking that you're in control of your life and you can be more than what's happened to you, and the next day to feel like you're this miserable waste of space and we are condemned to what we are. And all these attempts, all these efforts to strive to be more and to do more is just in denial of reality. My brain is literally like this fucking is like I'm sorry, my brain is literally just like this metronome just going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. My depression has gotten a lot better. My mental health is a lot better. And I'm so vehemently thankful for that. But again, it is a battle. It is a struggle. Again, there's days where I feel like I'm getting better, I'm improving, and again, there's days where I feel like I've learned nothing and I'm just back to the same person. I'm back to square one. I feel like how could I ever be more? How could I ever think I could be more? And so like now I have these thoughts like, oh, like I got out of this depression, this pit. I have no idea what to call it honestly. It deserves a name, but I don't even know what to call it. I climbed out of that hole, that pit once, and every time I feel like I'm getting better, I just hear these thoughts in my head like, how long is this gonna last? How long is it gonna last until you crash down and fall and break down again? Truly, it's so fascinating to realize that your worst enemy in life is not going to be other people. It's usually like it can be, but often, especially if you're extremely critical and hard on yourself, your worst enemy is going to be you. Your biggest support in life and your worst enemy in life is you. I've learned to try to understand my feelings. I've learned to try to be with myself and sit with my feelings and understand that hey, I'm not trying to think all these things and do all these things and feel horrible myself because I want to self-sabotage. I don't think I'm doing it purposely, but if I am, I'm doing a really good job at it sometimes. I am the most gentle and most kind and understanding I have ever been with myself in my entire life. And yet, still, I have days, I have times where I'm I'm my worst enemy. I'm my worst critic. And say with trying to pursue the things that we want, there's moments where I'm like, yeah, I want to go for what I want. I want to strive to be more. Even if it doesn't work out the way that I wanted or expected to, I want to be able to at least look back and say that I tried. I want to try. I want to be more. I want to nourish my soul. I want to be with myself. I want to do the things that spark my soul. And then usually before or during, after I do it, it's just I keep like have these thoughts like how long is this gonna last? You can't do it. It's not good enough. I started comparing myself to other people. Started thinking it's not good enough. I don't work on it. And there's that shame. God, fucking the fucking shame. And it's also very frustrating because, especially for the people in my life, I think it's very confusing because, again, when I'm depressed, this past year, have, I, 2-ish years ago, I was so social. I was so extroverted, constantly going out, constantly hanging out with friends. And then my depression hit and nothing. Because when I feel, I isolate myself. Because one, I don't want to burden myself with, I don't want to put myself onto other people and burden them with how I'm feeling. And it's just, when I'm sad, I don't really look for other people. I just isolate. But whether that's a good thing or bad thing, I don't really know. It's just, that's what I do. And it takes me so long to get back to people because of this. Like, hey, like, I'm super social, and then you don't see me for the next like 7 months, and it's like, yeah. Like, oh, like, I want to explore different job opportunities. I want to do different things. I want to change my life. And then to just be so crippled by the fear of being more, of doing more, and just doubting myself. Like, can I actually do that? Do you think you could actually do that? How long is that gonna last? Like, what if it doesn't go the way that we want it to? What if it doesn't work out? And even though I try to counteract it with like things like, well, even if it doesn't work out, at least there's experience, and at least we can look back and say that we tried. The effort is worth so much than letting our fear stop us. And granted, perhaps it's because I'm still, I don't know. There's times where I'm able to say like, oh, like I'm so much better from my depression. Like yeah, I struggle with depression a lot, but I'm getting better. I literally said that to a friend a couple days ago, and then I had a very severe depressive crash. And then it's like, I'm not lying. Like, I'm not lying, but also I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. And so part of me is like wondering, because when I feel depressed, I crash down. I lose any and all motivation and will to live. I just become this hermit, this shell, this husk of the person that wants to live and is excited for life, is motivated, and it's just it looks forward to the opportunities and all the things that life has to offer. I lose all of it, and I feel the shame. I felt the shame, and I feel the shame. It's like, why are we like this? Like, I don't know, like, it's better than feeling depressed all the time, but it's also really discouraging when you feel better and then you just go back to being depressed, and then you feel better and then you go back to being depressed. And it's just this constant cycle. I had a thought come to me a couple days ago, like, what if this is something I'm always gonna have to live with? And I don't really like using the terms like never, always, forever, never, those kind of terms, just because, you know, for me, those are absolute terms. And I don't believe much in life is definite or absolute and guaranteed. Like, I don't believe many things in life are like guaranteed. You know, like, oh, I'm never going to do that. Oh, I'm always going to love you. I'm always going to do this. I'm never going to do that. You don't know though. We would like to believe those things, but in actuality, like, life is not bound to our expectations or our wants, our hopes, or our needs. Anything can happen. And so I don't quite like using these terms, but at the same time, it's like, maybe I won't always feel like this, but I'm probably going to feel like this for a significant portion of my life, and it's not going to go away anytime soon, how I'm feeling. Yet I still want and I still strive for so much. That's my current battle right now. It's like I want to become the person that I want to be, not out of shame or self-loathing, self-hatred of who I currently am, but to grow and evolve. Maybe deep down, that is just self-hatred and self-loathing. Maybe it is. But I want to grow. I want to grow with this. I've started to view depression as like a shadow. As you kind of referenced earlier. And this is also how I view about death as well. It's like thinking about death isn't fun. Like who likes thinking about dying? I mean, I joke about it a lot. I'm like, yeah. Yeah. Anyway, but for me, I think there's a lot of fear with dying because, and it's understandable. Whether you believe in an afterlife, whether you're spiritual, religious, or anything like that, the notion of dying, your life ceasing to exist, is daunting and it's understandable. But what can you do about that? Nothing in life is guaranteed, whether you are rich or poor, whatever and whoever you are, death is always a guarantee. It can come in the most cruel ways, it can come in the most swift of ways, but it's a guarantee it's going to happen to each and every one of us. It was a bit of a well, is this related to depression? I don't know. But that's something that I've noticed. Is like I have made peace with I believe I have made peace with the fact I'm going to die. I'm sure if it came close to it, I'd be like, yeah, I don't want to die. But at the same time, it's like, what can I do about that? Genuinely, what can I do about it? There is nothing that I can do to stop it from happening. And so I feel, I feel like I view it as like the shadow, this companion with me in my life, this ever present companion that I'm going to have that's going to walk besides me. Life, death, those were always going to be your constant companions. And so, correlated to that note, I started to wonder like, what if my depression, what if my fears could also be like this as well? Because I think about it like, will I ever be free of depression? I don't know. I don't quite know. I mean, I wouldn't like to think that like, oh yeah, like I'm going to be depressed. But at the same time, like I hope I'm not I hope I'm not depressed for the rest of my life in the all-consuming type of manner. But at the same time, like, do I think I'm for however long I live, do I think that I don't know, like say this current moment, this current period of me dealing with depression in this type of manner that's just like all encompassing and like just envelops everything that I am. And I don't know, I probably will though. I don't, I, yeah, the thought of it isn't fun. It's not nice. But again, like me not hoping it happens isn't going to make it not happen. And um, what if this is something I that isn't going to go away? I can moderate it, I can learn to deal with it, but this is something that will always, in ways, be with me. And so, if this is something that I need to learn to live with, not just hope for it to go away, it's an interesting thought. And that's where what I'm currently trying to figure out right now is how do I, how can I regulate it? How can I moderate it? How can I don't know. It's so weird to even think about that. It's like, okay, like how is this something that I can learn in ways kind of deal with depression? The depression that makes you like want to and makes you believe that you're this worthless piece of filth and you have done nothing with your life and just you're a pathetic waste of space and that kind of depression, those kind of things. Like, I don't know. I am the most at peace with myself that I have ever been in my life, yet I am still I'm still in that pit. And perhaps again, perhaps the answer isn't to like hope to climb out of that pit and shaming myself and hating myself and wondering why am I the way that I am every time I fall back into that pit again. Perhaps it's just what if this is something that it's probably going to be like this for a while for me. And it's a sombering thought as much as it's like, but what can I do though? Like truly, what can I do? I felt the grief, I felt the pain, I felt the shame, I felt the self-loathing, I felt everything. But what does it do? What does it change? It doesn't change anything. My constant companion in life. I don't quite have the answer. I don't quite have the answer, honestly. But there is this sense of there is this sense of peace in ways of thinking perhaps all these thoughts, all these feelings, all these emotions. I know this is how I know I'm different than this is how I know I'm different than last year is that for the first time in my life I'm trying to understand my emotions. I'm trying to understand like hey, like I feel these for a reason. I'm not doing this just because I'm a miserable wreck. Like we have a lot of hurt, we have a lot of grief, we have a lot of pain, we have a lot of unresolved things in our life that are manifesting in this current moment. And like I'm not doing these things. I'm not doing these things. I'm not feeling these things because I want to to feel like this. And so it's this like combination between perhaps like understanding like this is something that perhaps it's not going to go away. And it's like okay, if it's not going to go away, now the next question is okay, what can I do? And then understanding like hey, like if this is how it's going to be, how can I live with it? How can I learn to live with it? And my mind goes back and forth like I shouldn't even have to live like this in the first place. Like, yeah, but what can I do? What can I do? I can't wish, I can't dream, I can't wake up. Like, oh, depression free. Truly, one of the most helpful and healing and comforting things that I've learned to say to myself throughout anything and everything is to remind myself that this is all just a moment in time. Everything that we're feeling, everything that we're experiencing, this current moment, this very current moment that we are experiencing, will inevitably in time be but in the past. Everything comes to an end, for better for worse. Something will always follow. It's all just a moment in time. Life goes on. Life will always go on, in spite of everything that happens, in spite of everything that life throws at you, through the good, through the bad, through the horrible, through the pain, through the joy, through the happiness, through the good moments, the bad moments, everything, life goes on. Life will always go on. It is as painful as it is liberating to realize that and to fully witness and start to accept this in your life. I hate I understand why, but like I hate when people are always like, oh, things will get better. Like, oh, things will get better. Everything happens for a reason. It's not comforting to hear that when, especially, you're on the precipice of just like ending it. You're so consumed by your misery and your grief and your pain, and you feel so lost in yourself. It's like, oh, it's gonna get better. I know the intention is good, and I know people say that with the best of intentions, but truly, it doesn't. It doesn't help. Maybe it does for some people, but for me, it just made me feel worse. And so, instead of telling myself like things will get better, I think the better part, it's too positive of a connotation. And so I feel like with this is all just a moment in time, it's definitely a more neutral meaning, and it's something that I'm more able to just digest and let it sink into myself without feeling that like, oh, I'm just trying to tell myself these corny little positive things to make myself feel better. The corny things are good too. The corny things are good too. It's just we all work in different ways. And so this is all just a moment in time. This is all just a moment in time. The good, the bad, the highs, the lows. It's all just a moment in time. And I know that in weeks, months, years, if I'm granted that, I am going to look back upon this moment. And again, this moment, this current moment, all these things that I'm experiencing, it's gonna be part of the past eventually. For better, for worse. Maybe I'll get better, maybe I won't. Who knows? Life goes on. It will always go on. I'm in that weird balance between letting myself feel like shit, like, hey, feel like shit, rot, feel all your emotions, and then also at the same time, I'm trying to become better. It is this again the cycle, and again, all things come to an end and go on, and so this is just my current. This is just my current journey in life, current thing that I'm experiencing, and for better for worse, life goes on.